Check the forecast. Here's Michelle Nelson.
Well, we've seen these snow squalls develop
Bingo, we're online.
in Georgian Bay today, and some of them have stretched all the way into the GTA. So that's why we've seen on and off scattered snow showers. Not everyone's seeing it. We also have a mix of sun and cloud, but it is cold out there, feeling more like -9. As we head into this evening, we're going to see those winds die down. Right now, peak gusts at about 54 kilometers per hour. We've already seen those winds start to ease. Later tonight, we'll see conditions improve. Bundle up if you're heading out. It's still going to be cold, feeling more like -10. Tomorrow, a cold morning with a mix of sun and cloud through the day. Fairly calm conditions as we start off the work week. Your high will be 0. Late tomorrow night, we do have the picking up some snow in the city, keeping a close eye on a system that's just skirting south of the Great Lakes. Tuesday, cloudy and seasonal. It's -1 right now downtown and at Pearson. Your overnight low is -7.
I didn't steal this, I find them.
680 News Time 2:53. This extended forecast is brought to you by
I don't steal them, I find them. I don't
Opening
know.
all checkouts from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. every Saturday and Sunday until Christmas. Save time on your holiday shop as you check out Walmart.
I don't steal them, I find them.
Low prices. From the excitement of their first day.
I know, real niggas supposed to steal shit, right? Right? That ain't my way, that's all. Let's get all this shit off so I can motherfucking join, eh?
To better prepare kids for the future and the jobs of the future. So we're making
So they're talking about Regent Park, new housing project. They're talking about some program for Black and Indigenous youth. They're talking about they're talking about exhuming the remains of some dude that's got millions of dollars in Bitcoin. Oh, I forgot I had that too.
Somewhere beyond the headlines lies the story hosted by veteran.
That was on the last 20 minutes I'm trying to get online.
The big story available wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe now.
Thompson Rivers University in BC, hoping students will get some satisfaction in the new year with its newest professor. That professor is Andrew Luke Oldham, the first manager and record producer of the Rolling Stones. He'll be teaching a 13-week rock dreams course that follows music and cultural history from the 1950s to the 1980s. He says he's always wanted to delve deeply into his music history. Pioneering label he was a part of once included superstars like Rod Stewart, Eric Clapton, and Fleetwood Mac. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
I'd love to take that class.
I thought it was going to be Mick Jagger teaching it when he played the song.
Maybe he'll make an appearance. I don't know.
Nah, you gotta set that shit up in Toronto. You want Nick to show up?
680 News Time 2:55.
Whether you're at home or at the office.
One thing after another.
This year, let the Pickle Barrel hello. With our fully catered holiday parties for the office or home, Pickle Barrel Catering takes care of every detail.
I'm not gonna see too clearly, I know, but it's there.
And the holiday home dinner menu,
Look, it's about as big as Tupac's head, eh?
Dining room table. You cater to life's demands.
Not really.
So this holiday season, let the Pickle Barrel cater to yours.
Today's showstopper at TSC is the powerful Dyson Cyclone V10 Motorhead cordless vacuum bundle. It's
Is Motorhead getting a piece of these sales, man? I don't think that's right. I think that's fucking. I think they're marketing to my generation without paying off the people that made the culture of my generation.
Regularly $828.94. Today
I guess Motorhead's before my generation.
Or 12 easy pay payments of $50. And shipping is free. Shop tsc.ca. Today's shopping choice.
680 News Time 2:56.
Time for your business report.
I'm Carl Garnash. When it comes to preparing for divorce, a main focus is how much it's going to cost. This is a time when Canadians need to carefully consider how they will budget for any children, their homes, and living expenses. Now, with some costs from the process actually coming as a surprise for some, Laura Paris, associate lawyer at Shulman Law Firm.
That's like the trailing edge fees on a mutual fund.
They don't necessarily have a full understanding of how assets are divided, how support works.
I thought it worked this way, and I thought it worked that way.
Getting people had education early on so that they understand what the divorce process actually entails. That would be something important that people would benefit from.
So to figure it out, some people turn to a lawyer, but depending on one's financial situation, it might actually be tough to afford straightforward one. But Paris says it will pay off in the long run to get legal advice.
When you do get into these kind of kitchen table agreements or agreements through a mediator that you haven't been given legal advice on them, sometimes you give up things that you didn't actually know that you are entitled to, and then
voluntary enfranchisement
or revised, it's a lot more difficult of a process had you just had legal advice from the beginning. So for sure, you do see a lot of people cutting corners in that sense, and then coming to kind of at the end of the road to clean up their mess, unfortunately.
For those that do head into divorce negotiations with a lawyer, Paris says trust can actually benefit you financially.
Leaving it up to the lawyer to kind of make those moves for you, negotiate on your behalf in view of what they see to be the strengths of your case and the weaknesses of your case is the best way to go, especially when you're dealing with separation of a married couple. It is pretty cut and dry, so leaving it up to your lawyer and trusting that your lawyer does have your best interests at hand and is going to negotiate for you in the best way possible really will keep costs down.
Laura Paris is associate lawyer at Schulman Law Firm. At the Business Center, I'm Carl Garnish.
Okay, stop. For the best appliance deal ever, come into Gomez today. You'll save up to 20%.
I know what is a fucking drink cooler. No doors.
Yep, that's
got an air
25%
curtain.
off on top of manufacturer rebates.
I ain't got a truck. I don't even know nobody in the business no more.
Are lower than, well, they've ever been. Energy savings
I would drag
rebate
that
by the
thing home to
government of
here and put it
Canada.
right
Visit Gomez.com for details.
there.
One rose from the streets of Paris to become an international star. The other was a German aristocrat who became Hollywood's first glamour queen. Their private lives were as theatrical as their public performances. This new musical biography stars Louise Pitt as Edith Piaf and Jane Lewis as Marlene Dietrich. Piaf Dietrich, now playing at the CAA Theater until January 5th.
I think you got a winner with that name. You really got it.
News regional weather conditions for Walmart. Who's calling the shots this flu season? You are. Help protect your family with a flu shot from your local Walmart pharmacy. Subject to availability. No appointment necessary. Walmart Pharmacy. Partnered with Apotex. In Oakville,
Apotex, the Sherman murders. See what I'm talking about?
Mostly cloudy.
Drug dealer them.
-2 and mostly cloudy.
Billionaire drug dealer them.
-8.
Marked by the Rascayas.
Very chilly today. -5, feeling like -13. Some snow falling. It's also winter wonderland in Erin, -4, feeling like -11.
I see the sun.
Brampton, partly cloudy, -1, feeling like -9. It's -1 in downtown Toronto. Similar conditions at Pearson Airport, only we're starting to see some snowfall there. 680 News Time, 3 o'clock.
Number 1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News, Toronto.
Here are Cam Dorrit and Caitlin Lee.
Good afternoon. This is Sunday, the 15th of December.
Here's what's making news this hour. Police are investigating a suspicious death in Mississauga after a woman was pulled from Lake Ontario.
A North York parking lot at the scene of the city's latest murder after a man was gunned down in his car at Downsview Plaza.
Ontario's rule when it comes to dooring in Toronto has left cyclists with no easy way to access insurance details.
Toronto City Council has some work to do at its final City Council meeting of the decade later this week, including debating Mayor Tory's proposed tax hike to pay for housing and transit.
8 games in total right now in the NFL. The Bills.
I want to know where the money came from for the sewer project.
The Sunday Nighter. Sports at 15.
And coming up in business, pay raises of 3% or more are forecast for a significant share of Canadian companies in 2020. We'll get the results of a Hays Canada survey.
680 News Time, 3:01.
Driver traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Christine Lenko.
This report is brought to you by Viva Next. Motorists traveling on the eastbound QEW still have to deal with that construction from Burloak to Bronte. That's where the HOV lane is blocked off, so it's slow from approaching Walkers over to Burloak. And then eastbound QE Gardner is slow through Royal Windsor from southbound to Dixie. Bit of a delay from the Humber Bridge to approaching Parkside. Eastbound 403 at Winston Churchill. Problems have been cleared from the HOV lane, so now it's just busy from the QEW to east of Dundas. On the eastbound 401 approaching Mavis, a collision has been cleared away. All lanes have been reopened, but it's still slow from east of Winston Churchill. And then eastbound 401 is heavy from Dixon to Weston, Express and Collectors, and through Keele and the Collectors as well. Westbound 401 just starting to fill in through Kennedy and the Collectors. We also have a slowdown from Leslie to Avenue Road, alternately Express and Collectors, although it looks like Collectors are in a bit better shape for you. Westbound 401 is slow from Islington Express to Dixon, approaching approaching here, Ontario to Mavis. Looking at the northbound Don Valley Parkway, it's busy, but only from approaching Eglinton up towards York Mills. And southbound 404 Don Valley delays from approaching Shepherd over the 401 to south of Lawrence. It's the season of giving in Richmond Hill and Newmarket, and your local shops and businesses can help you find what you're looking for. Stop, shop, and dine on Yonge Street, Richmond Hill and Newmarket. Visit vivanext.com. Your next report is at 3:11. And now with the forecast, here is Michelle Nelson.
Well, it's not a bad winter day for us. We've seen that mix of sun and cloud with some spotty snow showers. That continues courtesy of the lake effect streamers. We have strong winds coming out of the northwest, gusts right now to about 43 kilometers per hour.
Keep making up meteorological terms.
So we've seen those winds start to die down. Earlier, we had peak winds gusting above 60 kilometers per hour. It is a cold afternoon, feeling closer to -9 tonight, cloudy, just some flurries in the forecast with a wind chill value near -10. It's -1 downtown and -2 with a light snow at Pearson. Your overnight low is -7.
680 News Time, 3:03.
I don't know, it's not that cold out there right now.
Police are investigating the drowning of a Mississauga woman in Lake Ontario last night.
680's Mix Black has the details. Police were called to State Bank in Lakeshore Road just before 11 p.m. where they were joined by paramedics and Mississauga Fire to retrieve the woman from the water. She was then transported to a local hospital where she died shortly after of her injuries. Constable Achille Lincoln joins us with the latest.
Don't let them lie to you.
Investigations Bureau remain on scene and are actively investigating this incident. They have spoken to the person that called emergency services and are working to determine what exactly led to the woman ending up in the water.
Now, an investigation is underway and police have yet to confirm any potential causes. With that, police are requesting that anyone with any more information, please come forward. From 680 News, I'm Meg Black.
Now, what it's a homeless person, they don't do none of this.
304, police say a man has died after he was found suffering from a gunshot wound in the North End Plaza. Emergency crews were called to the scene at the northeast corner of Keele Street and Wilson Avenue just before 1 this morning, following reports of a victim in distress. No information has been provided about potential suspects at this time. It is the city's 67th homicide of the year. Investigators are urging anyone with information to come forward.
The police have charged 10 people after 4 weapons were seized in Mississauga. Officers say a search warrant was issued in the area of Burnhamthorpe Road West and Duke of York Boulevard in late November. 4 semi-automatic handguns were recovered as part of the investigation. 10 people aged 19 to 26
semi-automatics are more dangerous than revolvers, right?
Earlier this afternoon, police are urging anyone with information to come forward.
680 News Time, 305. If you're a cyclist, the fear of getting hit by an opening car door is a real one. Now we're also learning of a legal loophole that leaves victims of dooring with little help. 680's Jordan Reed has more.
The Toronto Star says a cyclist was on Queen Street West when a parked car's door swung open, sending him off his bike. Ambulance was called and the cyclist was too delirious to ask for the driver's insurance. This has led to a month-long mess trying to access accidental benefits. The Ministry of Transportation won't file an accident claim
because the car was registration of the car and the name of the driver.
There was no official police accident report and nothing to present to insurance providers. Here's Joey Schwartz from the Toronto Bicycling Network.
Hit me with some, watch what happens.
Passing the Vulnerable Road Users Act. This is now a third attempt. Hopefully this time around, the province will take this bill seriously.
Toronto police reported 185 incidents of dooring in 2017 alone.
That's like one.
680 News Time,
one every 48 hours.
A man in his 50s has passed away after being hit by a car in the city's East End early this morning. It happened around 2 o'clock in an area near Lawrence Avenue East between McCowan and Barrymore Road. Toronto paramedics say the man was jaywalking when he was hit. They say
crossing mid-block
condition where he later died. Investigators say the driver is cooperating with police. Speed also being investigated.
Now they've also said he was not. They said he was not crossing mid-block. They've also said he may have been at a crosswalk. There's no jaywalking bylaw here. No matter where you're crossing, you got the right of way. You like it or not, you pig face motherfuckers.
It's a packed agenda for the last council meeting of the decade with a lot to get through. But there's no doubt the main item will be the mayor's proposed tax hike to help pay for transit and housing. Tory wants to increase the city building fund by an additional 8% over the next 6 years. Since first being elected over 5 years ago, the mayor has taken a hardline stance against raising taxes.
No, he has.
says the city has no choice.
He's taking no hardline stance on anything.
The
He's
city
a
is so
flip-flop.
successful now, and we are to some extent victims of our own success in that you have thousands of people coming here who want to come here to work and to invest. It's all good news for the future in terms of jobs for kids and all that. But you need to have affordable housing for them to live in some cases, and you need to have transit to move them around.
At City Hall, I'm home in Qureshi.
This portion of the news brought to you by Toys R Us. 680 News Time 307. A string of new rules come into effect for Canadian air travelers today. 680's Joey Keeney has the details.
Federal regulators are hoping the new airline passenger rules that take effect today will be enough to keep everyone's holiday travel a merry time. This phase of rights requires airlines to seat parents and children next to or close to each other and requires airlines to pay up when flight delays and cancellations are within their control. A number of consumer rights advocacy groups are warning that getting compensated under these rules will be difficult, as it puts the responsibility on the passenger to prove their flight was delayed or canceled for reasons other than weather or mechanical failure.
What kind of piece of shit you gotta be to try to sit somebody away from their child under 5, or sit next to that kid and not switch seats with the parent? What the fuck is wrong with you people, eh? And you want me to not call you child molesters and goofs when you're always trying to do that shit? Bullshit.
It's a good time to relook at the governance and the way things operate within our airports. I'm Joey Keeney.
If they try and sit you next to somebody else's kid, demand that they switch seats with you and the parent. Demand it. Fucking refuse to put your seatbelt on, refuse to put your seat upright and stand up. They can't do nothing to you. This Canada, bro.
0 tomorrow. We will have a wind chill of -10 in the morning, a mix of sun and cloud through the afternoon. We're keeping an eye on a system that's going to skirt the lower Great Lakes. It just all depends on if this track shifts a little farther north and east. We could get.
I'd get up and demand my fucking money back and go get on a different airline and make a video about it. You want to see your airline go under? Look, I'll make this happen, brethren.
Jumanji, The Next Level, has earned the high score at the box office.
Robin Williams ain't in it. Go fuck yourself.
Flip that. Things are a lot better than expected for Jumanji, The Next Level. Forecast to earn maybe $50 million at best. The sequel opened with $60.1 million. $24 million more than Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle's 2017 opening, and more than enough to knock Frozen 2 out of the box office top spot it held for 3 weeks.
You got a white-collar criminal here. What?
Thank you, sir.
Clint Eastwood's Richard Jewell, a disappointing 4th place debut with just $5 million. Christopher Watson, ABC News.
680 News Time 309.
Happy holidays, everyone. It's Megan, Chief Play Officer at Toys R Us. Have you ever seen 20,000 toys all in one place? At Toys R Us, you'll find anything and everything that kids like me could wish for. Right now, you can buy one.
The headline says, jury finds former SNC-Lavalin executive Sammy Babawi guilty on all, and I'm assuming charges.
You can also save 25% off all games, $19.99 and up. Some exceptions apply. Visit your closest Toys R Us store or go to toysrus.ca.
Time now for the 680 News gas price update. Price of gas is going up just a cent. At midnight, $1.16.9 cents a liter at most GTA stations. And coming up in 60 seconds, we'll have your traffic and weather.
Watch, the Canadian dollar is going to be 75 point something cents.
We are in it for the long haul.
I think we closed off at 75.95 last week.
It just won an award for the most to own in its class. 50 years old.
Wow, sounds like you really love your truck.
Yeah.
Get the Ford F-150, the truck with the Vincentric Award for lowest cost to own in its class. Now during the Ford year-end event, get up to $10,500 in rebates on select new 2019 F-150 models. Get the truck that's built for the long haul. Visit your local Ford store or Ford.ca.
How does Sugar Plum Fairy transform Canada's Wonderland into the world of Winterfest?
We need lights, millions of them, a gigantic Christmas tree, and Snoopy and the Peanuts gang, and ice skating and carolers spreading cheer, and more lights, and a heap of live shows and family rides. Good lights!
Hurry, the magic only lasts on the world of Canada's Wonderland's Winterfest. Select dates through December 31st. Get unlimited Winterfest.
You don't want me to read this fucking article, I can tell.
Get yours at Canada'sWonderland.com. 680 News Time, 3:11 time traffic and weather. Here's Christine Lego.
This report is brought to you by Marquee Jewelers. Eastbound 401 is slow from
Lower
east to
north.
west in Churchill to Mavis.
You want to talk about
Approaching Mavis
96?
have been
What?
cleared away. And it's a slow go eastbound 401 from Dixon to Weston, Express and Collectors. A bit of a bunch up through Kiel and the Collectors. If you're on the westbound 401, expect delays 404 Express approaching Bayview Collectors to Avenue Road. The southbound Kiel ramp to West 401 still blocked because of emergency road work. And then it's busy westbound 401 401 from Kipling to Dixon, approaching Yare, Ontario to Mavis. It's also slow north on the Don Valley Parkway from approaching Eglinton up towards York Mills. Southbound 404 Don Valley, just a slow down from approaching Shepherd over the 401 to south of Lawrence. On the westbound Gardner-Queenie combination, you'll find delays approaching York to west of Strawn. It's busy through Cawthron and by the Ford plant as well. So really not all too bad overall. On the eastbound QEW from Burloak to Bronte, the HOV lane is blocked because of construction. There's a slowdown from Walkers to Burloak and from southbound to Dixie as well. Eastbound Gardner, a slight delay from the Hung Bridge to approaching Parkside. Then you're in pretty good shape heading into downtown. Eastbound 403 is busy from the QEW to east of Dundas. The holidays have arrived at Marquee Jewelers. Get up to 70% off select merchandise for that special someone in your life. 2 Bloor Street West inside the Cumberland Terrace. Your next report is at 3:21. Now with the forecast, here's Michelle Nelson.
Oh, we still have some gusty northwesterly winds. Peak gusts right now.
Okay, the lady makes the video longer. More opportunities for advertising.
So we've seen those winds start to die off, and that's going to continue to be the story. But it's cold out there, and we've seen some lake effect snow reaching as far as the GTA. Spotty snow showers, those will ease off over the next hour or so as the winds continue to die down. And it's cold out there, feeling closer to -9 this afternoon.
I gotta get like a camera out the window and put a picture right
in the forecast, and a wind chill value near -10. We'll see those winds continue to ease through the overnight. Tomorrow, a lot calmer. We are looking at a cold morning to start us off, feeling closer to -10. Sun and cloud through the day with a seasonal high near 0. We do have the chance of snow tomorrow night. It's -1 downtown and -2 with some light snow at Pearson. Your overnight low is -7.
680 News Time, 3:13. A ticket holder in Quebec waking up a whole lot richer. Winner, Gagnon. That's where last night's $9 million jackpot was won. The $1 million prize went to a ticket holder right here in Ontario. Yes, it was me. No, it was not. The jackpot for the next Lotto 649 draw on December 18th, approximately $5 million. Hey, maybe I'll win that one. 680 News Time, 3:14.
What will your winter vacation sound like this year? Or wherever you're heading, be sure to pack CAA travel insurance. From helping you find the nearest hospital to paying emergency medical expenses up front.
I very rarely buy the scratch tickets,
lets you travel
and I pretty much always win.
CAA members save 10%.
I find winning tickets on the ground. I find banknotes on the ground. I find coins on the ground. I find bags of weed on the ground. Packs of cigarettes on the ground.
CAA travel insurance is underwritten by Orion Travel Insurance.
That's just the stuff I can use.
Ways to treat your cold symptoms. You can carry around a spoon and syrup, or try alternative methods. How about those lozenges? Why not drop all that for a different way? Cold drops. Just one drop with a naturally sourced ingredient for temporary symptom relief of cough, sore throat, and nasal congestion.
Relief with just one drop. Cold Drops.
For a retailer near you, visit colddrops.com. This product may not be right for you. Always read and follow the label.
This is All News Radio, 680 News. -1 with a partly cloudy sky. Good afternoon from the 680 News Broadcast Center in downtown Toronto. I'm Cam Doris. Here are the top stories this hour. Peel Police calling a late-night drowning in Mississauga suspicious. A woman was pulled from the Port Credit River. A man called 911 to report her struggling in Lake Ontario around 10 o'clock.
You can't jump in after them. Don't do that.
Latest homicide. A man was found shot to death in his car in Downsview Plaza parking lot in the early hours this morning. And coming up after sports, more on the college admissions bribery scandal.
White collar criminals. Well, that is not what I just did. What's going on?
Medical from Sportsnet 590, The Fan. How are those afternoon NFL games going, Brent Gunning? Well, believe it or not, a few of them are actually close. Pretty surprising the way the day started out. The Titans have tied things up with the Texans. That is at 14. While the Seahawks lead the Panthers 20-10. The Giants up by 3 on the Dolphins at 16-13 in the Meadowlands. Philly leading Washington 17-14. While the Patriots are blowing things wide open in Cincinnati. Thanks to a Stephon Gilmore pick six, the Patriots lead the Bengals 27-10. The night closes out in Pittsburgh with the Sunday Nighter. If the Bills can beat these Steelers, they will lock up a playoff spot. Cy Young winner Corey Kluber is on the move. Cleveland dealing him to the Rangers for Delano DeShields Jr. and reliever prospect Emmanuel Clase. It's bad news for the Mavs, but good news for the Raptors. Luka Doncic has a sprained ankle. That'll keep him out at least a couple of weeks, meaning he will miss Dallas's trip here a week from today. Up next for the Raptors, a date with Cleveland tomorrow. Sports at 15 and 45 past every hour or anytime on the home of Tim and Sid, now on TV and radio. Sportsnet 590 The Fan, 680 News Time, 316.
Oh shit, I got most of this coffee now.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
So I kicked Bobby's ass 4 times in dominoes, and then he won 4 times too, so we're even.
If you're dealing with erectile dysfunction or want to enhance your performance, talk to Revita Medical. They've helped over 1.2 million guys worldwide. Visit revitamedical.ca and things could be looking up for you.
I'm happy in my pants.
I feel like this is the modern version of the dick enlarging cream and pump thing they used to.
Ordering, we'd love to treat you. Pizza, pizza, with hot and rich pizza before us.
Get 2 medium 2-topping pizzas, 4 drinks, and a box of chocolate truffles for just $24.99. Happier holidays from Pizza Pizza.
9, 6, 7, 11, 11. Order pizza, pizza.ca.
680 News Time, 317. Actress Lori Loughlin and her fashion designer husband are now saying they didn't know the $500,000 they're accused of paying to get their 2 daughters in the University of Southern California were bribes. Reporter Marcy Gonzalez has more.
In new court documents, lawyers for the 2 writing, the government appears to be concealing exculpatory evidence that helps show that both defendants believed all the payments they made would go to USC itself for legitimate university-approved purposes or to other legitimate charitable causes. The government's failure to disclose this information is unacceptable, and this court should put a stop to it.
The couple wants prosecutors to turn over FBI reports that detail statements and interview notes taken during the investigation. The 2 have pleaded not guilty to fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit federal program bribery.
$5,100 bills in that bag.
For a wedding planning website that featured 2 brides kissing at the altar. Protests ensued after the ads aired, which petitioned Hallmark to stop airing LGBTQ-related content.
A spokesperson for Hallmark says the commercials were pulled because the controversy had become a distraction. After Hallmark pulled Zola's 4 commercials with a lesbian couple, but not those featuring only opposite-sex couples, Zola pulled its remaining ads, saying, quote, "All kisses, couples, and marriages are equal celebrations of love." From the Canadian Press, I'm Maury Harris.
U.S. Democratic presidential hopefuls shared their views on education during Saturday's evening event. Schools were the topic at the Pittsburgh Public Education Forum, where South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg said there needs to be more respect for teachers.
If we honored our teachers a little more like soldiers, as well as paid them a little more like doctors, we wouldn't have this issue of shortages.
At the MSNBC event, Senator Elizabeth Warren said respect was not about buying a teacher a coffee mug.
You pay them money so that they can afford to support their families and still be able to teach in public school.
She also said for-profit charter schools should be closed.
Kids, bitch.
Brian Clark, ABC News. 680 News Time 319. A theft of Christmas trees from a family farm has led to an arrest.
Remember, there's 2 of these stories, and one is promoted as good, and this one is not.
The Seattle Times reports the police in Federal Way, Washington, made the arrest Friday after getting reports that about 78 trees had vanished from the Snowshoe Evergreen Christmas tree farm. That's a mouthful.
Who the fuck were you going to sell them to, boy?
Valued at more than $6,000. Police say the suspect, his name was not released, but is probably Grinch, also stole a truck and a cargo trailer, planning to sell the trees at a pop-up stand. Coming up in 60 seconds, traffic and weather together.
Did he steal the pop-up stand too?
Time 320.
Both the toaster.
Because I would have to respect the hustle. I wouldn't like what he did necessarily.
The BMO Cashback MasterCard gives him cashback on everything. So it's like BMO puts a bow on every purchase. Now he's putting bows everywhere.
Bow on your report card.
I got a D in science.
There's always next turn. A bow in the blender, a bow in the...
When your credit card puts a bow on every purchase, that's the BMO effect.
All right, let's hear about these white people going to jail. Wow, they're not going to go to jail, but come on. Jury finds former SNC-Lavalin executive Sammy Babawi guilty on all charges. Oh, that guy's not going to jail. A former SNC-Lavalin executive on trial for fraud and corruption has been found guilty of the crime. Sammy Babawi, 73, faced trial on 5. He's not going to get no time. on 5 charges, including fraud, corruption of foreign officials, and laundering proceeds of crime. The jury today found Babawi guilty on all charges on its 4th day of deliberations. The Crown alleged that Babawi was behind a, quote, business model, end quote, that involved kickbacks and payoffs to foreign agents to secure lucrative deals for the Montreal-based engineering giant in Libya beginning in the late 1990s. So anybody that knows anything about this is already fucking dead. And if they weren't dead yet, they will be soon. The case centered on several major infrastructure projects and alleged dealings with Saadi Gaddafi, one of the sons of late Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi. Prosecutors argued that SNC-Lavalin transferred about $113 million to shell companies used to pay off people, including Saadi Gaddafi. Oh, see, okay, so sometimes I'm mispronouncing things. It's not Gaddafi, it's Gaddafi. There's a problem on some of these fucking websites. Every time the letter F and I are next to each other, it's displaying this U. I don't know why, because it's not on every site, so it's not my phone. I didn't mention it before, because why? It's Saadi Gaddafi. Okay. Prosecutors argued that SNC-Lavalin transferred about $113 million to shell companies used to pay off people, including Saadi Gaddafi, who helped the company secure deals in Libya. What remained in the accounts of those firms, and it says URMS. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Those firms, after the kickbacks were paid, was then allegedly split between Babawi and Riyad Ben Aissa, a former colleague, with Babawi allegedly pocketing about $26 million. Babawi did not testify, but denied the allegations through his lawyer in closing arguments, saying the millions were compensation for completing complicated contracts authorized by the former president of the company, Jacques Lamar. And if you average out over the last, what, like 25 years, whenever they started this shit, that 26 million, 113 million is basically 26 US. 130 is basically the same over the last 20 years. I know right now it's not, and in the 90s it wasn't, but for a few years it was. These guys know how to flip their money, and I guarantee he's got way more than the 26.
It's -2 right now downtown and at Pearson. At Pearson, we are picking up some light snowfall. Your overnight low is -7.
Coming up at 3:30, the latest on a suspicious drowning in Mississauga. Peel police say a man called last night about a woman who was struggling in Lake Ontario. When they arrived, she was drowned and they could not resuscitate her in hospital. They are calling a suspicion, asking for any witnesses to come forward. 680's Make Black will have the latest.
680 News Time 324.
You can't say we're looking for a person of interest because the guy's right there, right? There's something up with that.
But Hilton.com has the price match guarantee. Look me in the eye. If you find a better
About
rate,
15 years ago, a woman opened her car door. The man went to go around it, got run over by a cube truck. She got a $150 fine. The Attorney General of Ontario
you could choose your exact room and get free Wi-Fi. Cross my heart.
dragged the man and slammed him into a phone pole or some shit on the side of the road. Drunk. Nothing happened to him. He goes to a different province. They had him on here once, making fun of him. They didn't mention what he did. They were making fun of him. That's all I'm going to say. If you were listening, you were listening.
With the free Radio Player Canada app.
In the car? Tune in using Radio Player on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Radio Player Canada. It's where Canadian radio plays.
Coming up next, Christmas news. Some things just don't fit, like an SUV that doesn't suit your lifestyle. That's why Toyota offers the adventure-ready RAV4 with available all-wheel drive. Find the Toyota that's right for you. Lease the 2020 RAV4 all-wheel drive LE for as low as $96 weekly at 5.49% APR for 52 months with $0 down, or finance from 3.99% APR for 36 months. Visit your local Ontario Toyota dealer or shoptoyota.ca. Some conditions apply.
The legend returns. Shen Yun Performing Arts is back with an all-new production. How many times have you thought about attending but missed out? Now is your time. It's a journey you've been long waiting for. Discover 5,000 years of wisdom, beauty, drama, and humor live on stage in Hamilton, Mississauga, and Toronto starting December 30th. Secure your tickets today at shenyun.com.
Time for Christmas news. on 25 past each hour, brought to you by the Scott Mission.
Oh.
They're handing out turkeys today for those less fortunate. The mayor is on hand. It's all happening at a flea market near the Old Honest Ed's. Started about 1 o'clock today. It's the second annual year. They hope to give away 1,000 turkeys.
Christmas news at 25 minutes past every hour on 680 News.
I'm not really a Torontonian because I've never gone to get a free turkey from Honest Ed.
I'm Richard Denman. 2020 is expected to bring a significant change to some employee salaries. The president of Hayes Canada, Rowan O'Grady, says a survey of more than 3,000 employers and employees indicates pay raises will be 3% for some.
A higher proportion of companies saying that they're going to offer a salary increase of 3% or more for 2020, more than we've seen in the previous 6 years in a row. I said really every year for the last 4 or 5 years that we thought that maybe this was the year that companies would start increasing salaries in a significant way, and I was wrong every year, but this year finally it's come through, and it's 34% of companies are planning on offering 3% or more, which I think is great news from a salary and earning point of view. That was probably the most surprising thing, and it was combined with simultaneously a lower proportion of companies saying that they were going to increase permanent headcount.
But O'Grady says the staff shortages of recent years will continue.
If you feel like your industry is suffering from a skills shortage, and 80% of companies said yes, they are. I actually thought, I wonder who the other 20% is, because I'm not aware of almost any industry that isn't suffering from a skills shortage in some way. We also asked, have you broken your own budget or salary guidelines to attract in hard-to-find skill sets? And over 60% of hiring managers said that they had actually done that.
There is, however, what O'Grady says is almost a two-speed job market.
If you're working in the right areas, if you're a highly skilled individual, working in the right industries with the right skill set, you're probably feeling super confident. And if you're in a lower or unskilled role, maybe you're feeling a little bit worried. And it feels like that gap between those two populations is increasing.
Hayes Canada President Rowan O'Grady. In the Business Center, I'm Richard Detman. Tim Hortons makes holiday shopping easy, no matter who's on your list. Like friends, coworkers, and even know-it-all cousins. $1 from every purchase of our holiday merchandise supports Tim Hortons Foundation Camps. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Available to participate.
What's about Regent Park, motherfucker?
Right now at Rogers, you can unwrap more. Like buy one, get one when you activate 2 lines.
10 arrested, 67. Oh, nice. 10 arrested, 67 charges laid after firearms recovered in Mississauga. Oh, you're gonna see. See the goddamn you? See the goddamn you? Your arms. What the fuck is wrong with your fucking programmers, coders? Pia police have. Oh, that one's purple, eh? Nice. Two-tone. Pia police have arrested 10 people after multiple firearms were seized from a home in Mississauga. Officers began an investigation into several individuals in late 2019 and executed a search warrant at a home near Bermanthorpe Road West and Duke of York Boulevard. Not 100% sure where that is. 4 semi-automatic handguns were seized. Yeah, I can see they're semis. Why are you fucking telling me? Tell me, like, what they're made of and shit. Like, what caliber and all that shit, like you used to. 7 men and 3 women from Toronto, Mississauga, Brampton, Oakville, and Oshawa. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are now facing 67 firearm-related charges. They were expected to appear in court for 4 guns. Every single person caught 10 charges, 9 charges, 9 or 10 charges. Every single person caught over a total of 4 guns. They were expected to appear in court on Sunday. The tenacity shown, quote, the tenacity shown by officers in this investigation is an excellent example of the commitment of our officers in removing illegal firearms from our streets, said Chief Nishan Durayappa in a press release. I don't know who the fuck he is.
With the Lou Marsh Trophy now in her possession, we're finding out what's next for Canadian tennis star Bianca Andreescu.
We're into the final quarter of most of the early NFL games. As for the Bills, they play in the Sunday nighter on the road in Pittsburgh. Sports at 45.
And coming up in business, it's well known outside of the GTA, not so much inside, but that's about to change. We're taking a closer look at Farm Boys Toronto expansion.
680 News Time, 3:31.
Time for traffic and weather together on the one. Here's Christine Langer.
This report is brought to you by Shell. Heading out of downtown this hour, you'll find delays on the westbound Gardner Queenie from the DVP to Cherry, from Spadina to west of Jameson, and it's starting to build through Parklawn from what I can see, but no problems on the cameras here. Westbound QEW is slow from west of the 427 to west of Cobra, Ford Drive to Trafalgar. On the eastbound QEW from Burloak to Bronte, the HOV lane is still blocked for construction, so a slow go from Walkers to Burloak through that construction, and then heavy on the eastbound QE Gardner from approaching Mississauga Road to Dixie, Humber Bridge to Parkside, and it bunches up from Jarvis to Cherry now. Northbound Don Valley Parkway is filled in again from north of Don Mills to York Mills, and it's slow on the south 404 Don Valley from south of Finch to south of Lawrence. Looking at the eastbound 401, expect delays from Mississauga Road to east of Mavis, Dixon to Weston Express and Collectors, through Kiel and the Collectors, and again through Leslie and the Collectors, and volume on the westbound 401 through the 404 Express, approaching Bayview Collectors to Avenue Road, from Kipling to Dixon, and from approaching here Ontario to Mavis. It's simple to get 50 air miles bonus miles. Just fuel up 4 times with any Shell fuel, only until December 27th. Details at shell.ca/air miles.
Oh,
with
that's
fuel.
That's horrible.
Your next report is at 3:41. And now with the forecast, here is Michelle Nelson.
A mix of sun and cloud with some scattered snow showers. That continues this afternoon. It is windy and cold out there, feeling more like -9. Right now, we have northwesterly winds gusting to about 38 kilometers per hour. We've seen those winds already start to die down. That will continue, becoming much calmer for tonight. Partly cloudy as we head into this evening, just the chance of some flurries. It's going to feel like -10. Right now, it's -2 downtown and at -2 at Pearson. We're also picking up some light snow at the airport. Your overnight low is -7.
680 News Time, 3:33.
Tragedy on Lake Ontario. A woman is dead after she was pulled from the water last night.
680's Meg Black has the latest.
Peel police were called just before 11 o'clock after a woman drowned in the Port Credit area. Police, paramedics, and fire arrived at the scene, and she was quickly transported to a local hospital. She was pronounced dead shortly after due to her injuries. Constable Akil Mukin tells 680 about the investigation.
It's still very early, so we are unable to speculate as to any potential causes or reasons. So we are still appealing for witnesses to contact investigators or to provide any information they have through Crime Stoppers.
He says officers were made aware of the incident by a man witnessing her get into the water. Investigators continue to comb the scene for security footage and other witnesses. I'm Meg Black.
680 News Time, 3:34. Peel Regional Police say they've charged 10 people as part of a significant firearm investigation in Mississauga. Officers say a search was issued in the area of Burnenthorpe Road West and Duke of York Boulevard in late November. 4 handguns were recovered as part of the investigation. 10 people from the Greater Toronto area were taken into custody in connection with that investigation, and they face upwards of 67 charges. Police are still urging anyone's information to come forward.
680 News Time, 3:34. Toronto City Councilors can walk away with
7 charges each. 7
final meeting
charges
to get later this week. In a 680 moment correction report from City Hall, it's a big one with a potential major tax hike on the agenda.
There are several big items on this agenda for the last city council meeting of the decade, but the biggest is one of Mayor Tory's major policy moves since first being elected as mayor over 5 years ago. It's a proposed 8% increase to the city building fund over the next 6 years, which approved will have you paying more. Now, Mayor Tory has been opposed to hiking taxes during his tenure, but says now the city can't afford not to do it.
No, he don't care because he knows he's not getting a third term.
And I think that it is my responsibility to bring these things forward to protect the economic success of the city and to make sure that it builds things that have not been built in past decades.
Council begins on Tuesday at City Hall.
Because of all the sudden liberal support in the GTA for the feds, for Trudeau, Trudeau's not going to want to work too much with Tory because he's going out. And it overlaps. It doesn't overlap.
It's not just the injury cyclists need to worry about. 680 Jordan Reed has the story.
The Toronto Star reports that a cyclist was on Queen Street West when a parked car swung open its door in hand.
The car did it.
cyclist was 2 days
car
out
swung
for
its door
insurance
open.
information and is now facing a month-long mess trying to access accidental benefits. The Ministry of Transportation says to meet the definition of a motor vehicle collision, the car had to have been in motion, which means
But you can get a DUI sitting
police
in
that
your
called the
car, in
incident
your
a collision.
garage.
Jory Schwartz is an advocacy director for Toronto Bicycling Network who says Ontario has to change its rule.
There is currently a bill in the legislature titled the Vulnerable Road Users Act. If that actually gets enacted to part of a member's bill, it would actually change this.
Jory in Toronto has been an ongoing issue with police reporting 185 incidents in 2017
And that's the ones people call 911 over.
680 News Time 336. A new set of air passenger
Some of these guys will smash you with a bike lock and drive away, right away.
You're making some cash if your flights don't go as planned. City's Joey Keaty has those details.
Airlines have to seat parents next to or near their children at no extra cost and have to compensate flyers for delays and cancellations within their control. These new rules take effect today. Federal regulators are hoping that they will be enough to keep holiday flying as smooth as possible. However, delays resulting from weather or mechanical issues are exempted. This is the second wave of air passenger rights. First came back in the summer, requiring airlines to compensate lost or damaged luggage, among other things. These rules come in the wake of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's mandate letter to Transport Minister Marc Garneau. The letter outlines improving the accessibility, efficiency, and accountability of Canadian airports. I'm Joey Keaty.
680 News Time, 337. Police investigating their 67th homicide of the year after a man was found shot at a North York parking lot this morning. Emergency crews called to the Downstream Plaza at Keelan Wilson just before 1:30. The male suspect pronounced dead on scene. Police have yet to provide any information on suspects. Anyone with information is asked to contact police or Crime Stoppers.
A man in his 50s is dead after being hit by a car earlier this morning. It happened near Lawrence between McCown and Barrymore, just east of Brimley. Toronto police said a man was crossing the street when he was hit. He was rushed to a trauma center in critical condition, where he later died. The driver did remain at the scene and is reportedly cooperating with police. Officers had the area blocked off for several hours, but have since reopened all lanes.
Where was
News Time, 338. Another piece of hardware for Bianca Andreescu's growing trophy cabinet, the Lou Marsh. So what is in store for the 19-year-old Canadian tennis star in 2020? 680's Sandra Procida.
He told us he was jaywalking. He told us he wasn't jaywalking. He was in a crosswalk.
Season on the WTA tour. Now I know what to expect because I had this full year on tour. The competition.
You need a dash cam to walk around in this city,
any pro circuit or any junior circuit. So I'm emphasizing my preseason for it to be a bit tougher than usual, and I'm feeling really good. I'm rehabbing my knee. My knee's feeling much better.
And she says she hopes to get back onto the court training next week. I'm Sandra Brusina.
Good news for last-minute shoppers. It turns out a gift card might be exactly what friends and family are looking for. An annual survey from Rockackington.ca has found more than 8 in 10 would be happy to receive a gift card for the holidays. About 70% actually consider them a thoughtful gift. Canadians are strategic when it comes to using them. Almost half plan to save the gift cards for the new year as a little post-holiday pick-me-up. Another 45% will likely use it to purchase a gift for someone else. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
For sure.
That's genius.
Instead of buying one thing, maybe they could buy several things.
And several things that they exactly want.
And there's so many different gift cards.
Whoever's buying me gifts and you're listening, gift cards, please.
Restaurants, record stores.
Email transfers.
Suggestions to my family.
Email transfers. PayPal.
Next on 339.
This ad is only 15 seconds long. 2-hour TTC transfers with your Presto card are 480 times longer. So if this ad feels like it goes on forever, just think of how long you'll have to get all your errands done with just one fare. Presto. Tap on. There's an app for finding ghosts and an app that makes you old. There's even an app that lets you talk to an animated hippo. Isn't it time you got an app you actually use? Download the Presto app and stay on top of your daily commute. Presto. Tap on.
Now the 680 News gas price update. Enpro predicting the price will go up 1 cent at midnight to $1.16.9 cents a liter at most GTA stations. 680 News Time, 340.
Being an entrepreneur means always having ideas to grow my business.
Fuck you. You guys wait till I read it.
Bring my ideas to life. They came up with solutions I hadn't even thought of.
At BDC, being the only bank exclusively devoted to entrepreneurs means investing ourselves 100% in our clients' projects. So when you turn to us to help grow your business, it's our turn to come up with ideas.
Go further with BDC. BDC. Financing, advising, smarts.
Deck the halls with pizza, 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 za, 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 za. Order in, we'd love to treat you. Pizza, pizza, za, 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 za. With hot and rich pizza before us. Za, 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 za. Grab a slice and join the chorus. Pizza, pizza, za, 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 za.
Get 2 medium, 2 topping pizzas, 4 drinks, and a box of chocolate truffles for just $24.99. Happy your holidays from Pizza Pizza.
At 6, 7, 11, 11. Order pizza, pizza, .ca.
Here's time 3:41. Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Christine Langos.
This report is brought to you by ADT Security Services Canada. If you're traveling on the eastbound 401, expect delays from Mississauga Road to east of Mavis. From Dixon to Weston Road, Express and Collectors, it looks slow from Bayview to Leslie in the Collectors mainly. Past that, it's in good shape through Scarborough to the Durham region. Everything is up to speed. Westbound 401 is slow down from the 404 Express, approaching Bayview Collectors to Avenue Road. The ramp from southbound Kiel to westbound 401 still blocked for emergency construction. And westbound 401 is heavy approaching here Ontario to Mavis. Northbound Don Valley Parkway looking at delays from north of Don Mills to York Mills, and busy on the southbound 404 Don Valley anywhere from south of Finch over the 401 to south of Lawrence, all pretty typical volume. On the westbound Gardner, we have a slowdown approaching York to west of Jameson. Past that, it picks up, and then it's slow on the westbound QEW from west of the 427 to west of Cobra, a delay from the 4 Drive area to Trafalgar, and again, it's just volume. On the eastbound QEW, though it's not volume, we have construction from Burloak to Bronte blocking the HOV lane, so it's slow from Walkers to Burloak. And just hearing about a crash on the eastbound, on the westbound QEW at Dixie, the left lane is blocked, so that's adding to the delays out of downtown. Eastbound Gardner is heavy from the Howard Bridge to Parkside, approaching Jarvis to Cherry as well. Whether you're out shopping or visiting family this season, let ADT by TELUS Smart Home Security keep an eye on your home or business. Visit adt.ca to learn more. Your next report is at 3:51. And now with a check of the forecast, here's Michelle Nelson.
Partly cloudy skies with still some gusty northwesterly winds, and that's been kicking up lake effect snow today. We are still seeing some light snow showers across parts of the GTA, but not everyone's getting the active weather. Very scattered. We're going to see that ease right around dinner time as the winds continue to die down. Later up, if you're heading out tonight, it's going to feel like -10. Some flurries in the forecast. Tomorrow, we're looking at sun and cloud, a much calmer day. We're not seeing those strong winds tomorrow. Your daytime high will be 0. It's -2 right now downtown, and at Pearson, we're picking up some light snowfall there. Your overnight low is -7.
680 news time 3:43.
Every Volvo is thoughtfully made with you and your family in mind. Designed to spoil with unprecedented luxury and Scandinavian craftsmanship. And with legendary safety features that come standard, you can help protect what matters most. The Volvo family event is the perfect time to get the
What am I missing?
Lease or finance at 2.9% and receive a holiday bonus of up to $4,000 on select models. Visit your GTA Volvo retailer or volvocars.ca.
Today's showstopper at TSC is the powerful Dyson Cyclone V10 Motorhead Cordless Vacuum Bundle. Its detachable handheld unit takes on big spills while its filtration system traps microscopic dust. And its recharging dock holds your accessories while providing up to 60 minutes of vacuum power. Regularly $828.94. Today only, it's just $599.99 or 12 easy pay payments of $50. And shipping is free. Shop tsc.ca. Today's shopping choice.
This is All News Radio, 680 News.
It is -2 and cloudy. Good afternoon from the 680 News Broadcast Center in downtown Toronto. I'm Caitlin Lee.
I'm Kent Doran. Here's what's making news at this hour.
Police are investigating a suspicious death on Lake Ontario. A woman dying after being pulled from the water last night. During a problem for cyclists on city streets. That's when a car door hits a cyclist as they're riding by. But a recent investigation by the Toronto Star shows some legal loopholes are causing red tape for victims. And
I understand, if I punch you in the face and hurt you, I go to jail. If I accidentally do something and you get killed, I still go to jail. How the fuck are these people seen as immune just because they're in a car? What the fuck? The car is not a fucking shield against responsibility, yeah?
Now time for
And I drive. I've had people fucking yell, "Oh, you don't have a license. Where's your license?"
Thank you, Caitlin.
Drive all the fucking time, bro. I'm not in a car at that second, so I'm not a driver ever. Right?
Other close games include the Packers up 21-13 on the Bears. Washington has just tied the Eagles thanks to a field goal. That's at 24s. While the Buccaneers lead the Lions 24-17. 5 more games start up in the 4 o'clock hour. As for the Sunday nighter, that goes in Pittsburgh. The Bills visiting the Steelers for an 8:20 kickoff. With a win, Buffalo can clinch a playoff spot. Cy Young winner Corey
That's why I don't
Kluber
ride in bike lanes. The bicycle is entitled to the full width of the main lane. They can't stop you from fucking riding in that lane. There's no requirement to pull over to the right. I don't know where that came from. That doesn't exist here.
Doncic will be out at least a couple of weeks with a sprained
And all you asshole cyclists that run the red lights when I'm trying to make a right turn around you, I'm gonna fucking stab you if I catch you. I swear to God.
Bypass every hour or anytime on the
They don't even look over their shoulder.
TV and radio. Sportsnet 590 The Fan.
680 News Time 346.
I'm not doing no 10 clicks. I'm doing like 50. But I got hydraulic disc brakes and all the rest. So the air suspension front and rear 27 speed. Thank God.
The Medicine Show Tour is coming on April 17th. Local legend Gordon Lightfoot returns on April 18th. And don't miss Ringo Starr and his All-Star Band May 29th and 30th. Buy tickets now at Ticketmaster and check out full concert listings at CasinoRama.com.
New York, New York. The city is so nice they named it twice. But they should have named it 5 times.
Yeah, this is West Toronto West. Go figure.
Manhattan, Queens, Staten Island, the Bronx, and Brooklyn. Explore all 5.
No, Brooklyn,
so much to see with so many non-stop flights a day on Porter Airlines. Just name your time and book at flyporter.com/NY. Porter, flying refined.
680 News Time 347.
One of Hollywood's biggest actresses raving about a cast member on Saturday Night Live, Scarlett Johansson, calling Colin Jost the love of her life on yesterday's episode of SNL. The Marriage Story star hosted the latest episode of the popular TV series where she and fiancé Colin Jost engaged in some fun banter as they addressed their engagement. In addition to anchoring Weekend Update, Jost is also a co-head writer for SNL. An analysis by a federal watchdog has found the privacy policies of all major federal political parties fail to ensure people are giving valid consent to the collection and use of their personal info. The Federal Privacy Commissioner concluded the policies also fall short on setting out specific limits on use of their data. That includes details about how long information is kept, the use of security safeguards on systems, and the ability of people to see the collected information and check its accuracy. The Commissioner's Office has sent the privacy policies of 5 parties following the implementation of changes to the Canada Elections Act on April 1st. Thousands of Lebanese protesters are defiantly rallying outside Parliament in Beirut last night into this morning. So one of the most violent crackdowns on protesters since nationwide anti-government demonstrations began 2 months ago, leading to the resignation of the prime minister on October 29th. Attackers in northern Lebanon also set fire to the offices of 2 major political parties, according to the state-run national news agency. The protesters in Beirut this morning chanted against the security crackdown and called for an independent new head of government unaffiliated with established political parties. And there will be no let-up for lawmakers weary after Britain's bruising election campaign. Prime Minister Boris Johnson said to begin before Christmas a push to secure parliamentary approval for his Brexit deal. Johnson's Conservative government has been buoyed by its landslide victory in Thursday's election. That means ensuring enabling legislation is passed in time for the UK to complete its historic departure from the European Union by January 31st.
It's not very British. The British would just take over the EU, but they're not. I don't get this. These new British people are different.
350.
We're 2 men and a truck. So, you're moving to a new home, and all that's left to do is to call a mover you know you can trust. Well, naturally, you think 2 men and a truck, since you know they have lots of men and lots of trucks. They'll wrap, tack, and move everything you own. With a 96% referral rating and the professionalism you can trust, the choice is simple. For a free in-home estimate, call today. We're 2 men and a truck. 2 men and a truck, the movers who care. Look at my perfect parking job. Equidistant left and right, wheels straight as an arrow. I should post it. Hashtag perfect park.
Or hashtag enhanced park assist.
Or hashtag shh.
Get the SUV built with features that help make your life easier. The Ford Escape with available enhanced active park assist. And now during the Ford year-end event, get up to $6,000 in rebates on select new 2019 Escape models. Get the SUV built to get you out there. Visit your local Ford store or Ford.ca.
680 News Time, 3:51.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Christine Langer.
This report is brought to you by Hamilton International Airport. We have new problems westbound QEW west of Dixie. The left lane is blocked to the collision. It looks like a tow truck has arrived on scene. So you'll find delays on the westbound Gardner-Queenie combination.
Now let's run this 2 or 3 of them there. I want to see what pops
on the
up.
427 to west of Dixie, and it's heavy by the Ford plant as well. We still have construction set up eastbound QEW from Burloak to Bronte in the HOV lane. It's slow from Walkers to Burloak, and eastbound QEW is slow from Mississauga Road to Dixie as well. Eastbound Gardner, some volume delays. Humber Bridge to about Parkside, approaching Jarvis to Cherry. On the eastbound 403, there's a bunch up through Dundas. On the southbound 404, you'll find delays approaching Shepherd over the 401 onto the southbound Parkway to south of Lawrence. Northbound Don Valley Parkway still busy from north of Don Mills up towards York Mills. Westbound 401, volume delays. 404 Express approaching Bayview Collectors to Avenue Road, approaching here Ontario to Mavis in the west end. And on the eastbound 401, volume from Mississauga Road to east of Mavis, from Dixon to Weston Express and Collectors, and it's still slow through Leslie and the Collectors as well. In the Distillery District, we still have Mill Street closed from Parliament to Cherry until December 22nd. Enjoy the savings when you fly nonstop to Orlando, Tampa Bay, or Fort Lauderdale from Hamilton International Airport, your low-cost airport. Your next report is at 4:01, and now with the forecast, here's Michelle Nelson.
A cold and windy afternoon for us. It feels closer to -9 right now. We do still have some lake effect snow, scattered snow showers across parts of the GTA, but we're going to start to see that fizzle out by this evening, so right around dinner time. We have those strong winds out of the northwest, but they've died down quite a bit. Gusts right now at about 38 kilometers per hour, and we'll continue to see those ease as we head into this evening. Partly cloudy for tonight, just some flurries in the forecast, but bundle up if you're heading out. It's going to feel closer to -10. Tomorrow, we're looking at a mix of sun and cloud, lighter winds in the forecast, so calmer conditions, but we have a morning wind chill near -11. So heading back to work and back to school, you're going to need those extra layers on. Your daytime high tomorrow will be 0. Tuesday, cloudy and seasonal. It's -2 right now downtown, and at Pearson, we are picking up some light snow. Your overnight low is -7.
680 News Time, 3:53.
Have you heard about Tresiba yet? Tresiba insulin degludec is offered in the preferred Flux Touch device and is covered by the Ontario Drug Benefit, or ODB program, and most private drug insurance plans. Talk to your doctor today to see if Tresiba is right for you.
What's it for?
Santa knows.
Damn it, they know I'm gonna look it up. How the fuck you spell that? Tresiba? How the fuck am I supposed to spell that?
Get it right, Santa. This is 680 News.
680 News Time, 3:54. Police are looking for suspects connected to a Georgetown bank robbery. Investigators say a Scotiabank was robbed Friday evening by 3 suspects wearing black face coverings. The suspects are described as males, aged 16 to 20, and all about 5'7" tall. They fled with a quantity of money. There were no injuries. Police are asking anyone with information to contact them. And around 1,000 frozen turkeys were given to Toronto residents today. The Mirvish Turkey Giveaway celebrated its 2nd year. No notable names in attendance. Mayor John Tory will kick off the event on behalf of West Bank and Ellis Dodd. The Mirvish Village brings together residential, commercial, and cultural spaces to support a vibrant and varied community. In 60 seconds, we'll check in at the Business Center.
680 News Time, 3:55. Simply Smart Home makes it easy to own a Google Home Mini for free.
Simply Smart Home is the #1 Google Nest Pro dealer in Canada. Simply Smart Home is giving away thousands of Google Home Minis across Ontario. Eligible Ontario homeowners will receive 1 free Google Home Mini per household. Supplies are limited. Visit freemany.ca to register today. That's freemany.ca. Promotion is valid for Ontario homeowners only. No purchase necessary. Google Home Mini is provided at no cost. Google and Google Home Mini are trademarks of Google LLC.
I don't want your free shit in my house connecting with microphones to the internet. That's too creepy, bro.
Gerard, got a question though. Not a big deal or anything. Since we're on the radio, I assume clothing is optional?
So I do video.
We're still on TV, right? So that's a yes.
The immense get serious about sports and fully clothed. Weekdays at 5 p.m. Watch on Sportsnet and listen on Sportsnet 590 The Fan through the Sportsnet app.
680 News Time, 3:56.
Now, time for your weekend business report.
I'm Richard Southern. It's a popular grocery store outside of Toronto. Inside the city, though, maybe not a lot of people know about it. They soon will. We're talking about Farm Boy. It's kind of Ontario's answer to Trader Joe's, if you've been to that U.S. food retailer. A lot of ready-to-eat food. This past week, Farm Boy announced an expansion in Toronto. Robert Carter is food expert at Stratton Hunter.
Farm Boy can be best described, I would say, as a Whole Foods-style grocery store, which focuses on a lot of the fresh, local-grown produce, but a price point that's much more attractive than a Whole Foods would be.
It still seems kind of pricey to me, though, as you often see with ready-to-eat food, though, Robert.
Yes, Farm Boy has a great selection of ready-to-eat meals, along with their fresh, butchers and their fresh produce and whatnot. So the price point is a little bit higher than the traditional grocery stores overall, but consumers seem to be responding, and the growth of Farm Boy has been dramatic over the last number of years. And it's really these niche type grocery store concepts that are driving the growth in today's grocery market.
We know it's owned by Empire, the parent company of Sobeys. Any idea why they wouldn't want to, say, open a smaller format Sobeys as opposed to a Farm Boy in these particular areas downtown?
Well, Farm Boy is one of those brands that has just really come out strong from the gate, and it's a brand that's capitalizing on a number of key consumer trends. So, for Sobeys to continue to push that Farm Boy brand, which is very underdeveloped, only really in the Eastern Ontario market, there's a lot of runway for this brand. So I think it's a good strategic positioning for Sobeys to continue to focus on Farm Boy and expand that brand.
That's Robert Carter, food expert at Stratton Hunter, and at the Business Center, I'm Richard Southern.
Devastating wildfires in Fort McMurray. Extreme flooding in Ottawa. An empty kitchen table at Christmas. We'll be there because everyone needs an army. Donate this holiday season at salvationarmy.ca.
Canada Computers is headed back to North York. All this weekend, celebrate the grand opening of their new location at Center Point Mall. Door crasher specials, on-site activities, lucky draw prizes valued up to $500, freebies, snacks, and drinks, and all the top names like Asus, Racer, Logitech, Corsair, LG, and more. Go all this weekend for deals and specials. The grand opening of Canada Computers in North York, 6600 Yonge at Steeles, a proud Canadian company since 1991. CanadaComputers.com.
Now, 680 News regional weather conditions for Walmart.
With Walmart's guaranteed unbeatable low prices, save $2 on a 400-gram block of Kraft cheese. Now, $3.97. Walmart. Save money, live better.
In Hamilton, we're seeing some light flurries. It's -3. Across the lake, St. Catharines, 0, partly cloudy. It is -1 in Niagara Falls. In downtown Toronto, -2 with some clouds. We're seeing snow at Pearson Airport, -2. In Brampton, light flurries and -2. Up in Orangeville, snow and -6. Richmond Hill, snow and -4. Newmarket, partly cloudy and -4. In Pickering, partly cloudy, -3. And in Oshawa, -3 and partly cloudy. The News Watch never stops. 680 News is CFTR AM Toronto. 680 News time at the tone is 4 o'clock.
Number one for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News, Toronto.
Here are Cam Dorrit and Caitlin Lee.
Good afternoon. This is Sunday, the 15th of December.
Here's what's making news this hour.
Peel police are investigating a drowning after a woman was pulled from Lake Ontario.
Another shooting, another death. The parking lot in Downsview Plaza, the scene of the city's latest homicide after a man is found shot dead in his car.
Mad at the TTC teaming up again this holiday season. A hard-hitting message showing victims of impaired driving on the backs of buses. The government